Crypto ZX Army, thank you for tuning into Crypto ZX channel. Again, you guys have read the title. There is a lot of fear across the board right now. And again, first and foremost, like put everything aside. I just want to say if you've clicked on this video and you're spending time watching this video and then you actually watch my updates every single day, you guys mean the world to me and I appreciate you guys. And aside from you guys watching my videos or not, give yourself a pat on the back, for still being here because let's face it, we've seen insane amount of market uncertainty. There's so much fear across the board today. As we started off a brand new week, you could see for yourself a lot of coins down. Once again, we've seen a major retracement across the board. If you're looking at it on a weekly time frame, you'll notice something similar playing out, as well as, of course, on the monthly time frame. A lot of uncertainty, but again, like I said, the people that are still here, I think, are the ones that do tend to do good in the long haul. Reason why I say that is because, I've been in this space for almost 10 years. 2026 marks 10 years since I've been in the crypto space, and I've learned so much throughout the years. And one thing I've learned is, when there's so much fear across the board, when no one seems to be interested, and, there's a famous saying, be greedy while others are fearful, be fearful while others are greedy. The ones that are, actually picking up during so much uncertainty do tend to do good because again, in terms of an altcoin perspective, you're seeing pretty much every altcoin at this point except a few that are up, but again, majority of the coins are down substantially. And I know, again, like I said, going back to what I said, been in this market for almost 10 years, and this is a similar thing a lot of people are starting to notice because never in the history of crypto we've seen October. Again, in 2018, October was a red month, but again, it kind of goes unsaid. We did start off the bear market. That year was the bear market. Bear market started in 2018, the beginning of 2018. But this time around, historically speaking, if you've been following the channel, historically speaking, now around this time should be still a lot of excitement, but yet you're seeing altcoins still feeling a lot of pain, which I'm going to talk about and share my personal thoughts with you guys. But as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. There's some analysts, in the crypto space that are calling that, this is the market. We've already seen the market top. And what that means is, October for the price of Bitcoin was the top. And could that actually been the case? Maybe, maybe because right now it's still very early. And again, I still think, and I've said this every update of mine, again, I'm sharing my personal thoughts. I still think the market, the Bitcoin price is in a bull market. There's no secret about the Bitcoin price is still above six figures. A lot of projects still holding really good. Solana was one of them. BNB, Ethereum still did quite well. There's a lot. Sui, list goes on and on. So that's something a lot of people are not realizing. But not every single altcoin was able to feel the love like we were expecting. And is this time, completely different because altcoins are having a hard time. I want you guys to focus on the dominance, but we'll come back to that. But let's take a look at, this. Retail Bitcoin inflows to Binance have plunged over 80% since early 2023 as small investors shift to ETFs, hold longer, or move beyond shrimp category. Binance, again, this is the inflow numbers, but again, Bitcoin is already, it's no secret at this point, something we've been emphasizing on this channel for quite some time. Bitcoin is already, not accessible to a lot of people, in my opinion, in terms of affordability standpoint. I think it's already outpriced itself, and retail cannot afford Bitcoin like a full Bitcoin, and hence they're looking into a different opportunity. So this is not surprising me, but again, if you look at the smart money, if you look at the big players coming on board, they're accumulating at a record pace. But take a look at this: $1.13 billion liquidated in the 24 hours. Bitcoin hovering near $106,000. Again, big liquidations once again. But that, with that being said, that gives us a little bit of a better understanding, in terms of numbers. But look at the dominance. Dominance is such an important tool that I've highlighted to you guys. Altcoins. There was a time where altcoins did do quite well even this year. Take a look at what happened in, last obviously December, we really saw altcoins having a great time. Obviously, that is due to look at how fast the dominance dropped. We were sitting at where we currently are exactly as of now, and then we came down to 54.89%, and that gave altcoins, a big push towards the upside. So, to anyone that's going to come out and say altcoins didn't have a run this cycle, just please look at this phase. There were a lot of altcoins that did go up, but right now there's so much uncertainty right now. Again, that has really shaken out altcoins pretty much quite significantly, specifically on October 10th when we saw that wick. But again, that also gives us a little bit of a better understanding in terms of the sentiment that is revolving around altcoins. There's not much interest in alts right now. There's not much bidding that is going on the altcoin side. If you're looking at even the order books, you can look at a lot of altcoins. They're not getting that much bids, and that tells you the interest right now on alts is very low. But with that being said, there's obviously, again, in terms of an opportunity standpoint, I still think, yes, maybe not all these altcoins are going to come back up, but, I still look at November of last year. I still look at the beginning of this year. We still saw a lot of excitement for a lot of altcoins, but we haven't really seen, an altcoin type of season that we saw back in 2021 yet, because dominance is still much higher than that. But again, this could be due to manipulation occurring. You are not gonna see any sort of excitement within within the altcoin market until we actually push down to where we were in September, and obviously start heading more lower than that as to where we were late last year. That's where, in my opinion, things get exciting. But Bitcoin is all over the place. Bitcoin is literally all over the place right now. But now comes the question. There are a lot of people talking about, okay, you know what? Maybe the Bitcoin cycle top is already in, and we're going to see a market flush. Speaking about a market flush, and again, this impacts everything, right? As you guys could tell by the title of the video, this impacts pretty much everything that you're holding at this point. So it's a market in-depth analysis. And again, if you want to see more of these, let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed and you smash that like button so I make more of these updates for you guys. But I want you guys to take a look at what happened in April. April was, a market bottom. This is when original tariff conversation started occurring. And you can see for yourself, Bitcoin went from $109,000 all the way down to the $74,000 price point. You can see for yourself, this was a retracement of about 31.3%. So again, is Bitcoin about to, drop below the $100, not $100, so we wish, but $100,000 price point? And I think that's right now, Bitcoin has not been able to break below $100,000. We came very close to it on October 10th, you could see for yourself, but didn't exactly touch the 100,000. That's a psychological price point. There's a lot of liquidity around that range. But could this time around Bitcoin actually drop below $100,000? Again, if you're zooming out right now for Bitcoin, Bitcoin is in this upward trend. You can see for yourself. Again, take a look at it for yourself. Bitcoin was at $73,000 back on March, and then we retraced down to 48,600. We pumped up, ran up to $109,000, and then retraced down to 74,000, pumped up. So you're noticing a little bit of a pattern playing out, but let's kind of put it into perspective from the March, March all-time high. That was a retracement of 32%. Very similar, 32% here as well. So from our all-time high, a 32% move, let's just say give or take it pulls something similar. Could Bitcoin really go down to $86,000? And what if I told you I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, even if it were to get to that price point? And, this brings the question. So, if this does end up happening in the month of November or quarter four of this year, let's say Q4, Bitcoin does this. Um, let's say Bitcoin does this, so maybe that was at the bottom of the market, and we are going to just continue this pattern, towards the upside for the crypto market, and maybe the 4-year cycle is no longer valid, because that is what some people are talking about. Maybe that is what we're going to see, but again, we need to look for those confirmations, because if Bitcoin drops below $100,000, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting time. And again, that is specifically if it happens in Q4. So there's still about a month, almost 2 months, give or take, left for this year. If Bitcoin drops below $100,000 price point, I think dominance is gonna maybe start to fill this wick as to where it was. Maybe that was the market makers' main goal, to begin with, to fill the wick for the dominance. Make its way up to these levels, and then we could see. Let's actually take a look at the yearly high for the dominance. So the yearly high for the dominance was back in June, and that was around 66%. So if the dominance really going to start climbing up right now, of course, I think it would do that if Bitcoin does not hold around the 100K key range, which we have not been below, since May of this year. Let that sink in. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see. Again, this cycle seems to be very different at this point. I really wanted to make this update because, what's happening right now, especially for alts, it's, quite strange. Again, we could see something like crazy as, a bullish tweet from maybe Donald Trump talking about crypto, or something like, the bill being passed. Those things obviously could have a positive impact, but there's so much going on. Interest rate cuts are happening. And obviously, two interest rate cuts as of now, but there's a lot happening for the space right now. And yet, crypto, stock market not doing as bad. Stock market is not doing as bad, but crypto is lagging right now. So again, if Bitcoin is unable to make its way back up to the confirmation zone minimum above $117,000, then it's something we want to be looking out for. And again, the next few weeks very important. Again, if Bitcoin drops below 100,000, I think this cycle is going to be looked at quite differently, like from that point on, I think. But that also could mean maybe some of these analysts are correct that we are in a new phase of the cycle and we're going to see a continuation of the upside. But again, this is a long update, but I really wanted to kind of rant and just talk about what I'm currently seeing. Again, no one, and I repeat, no one, is going to be, telling you, oh yeah, well, this is going to happen for sure. But guess, a lot of these people that have been in this space for a long time, maybe the ones that have even been in the space longer than me. This is a cycle that we're witnessing all together. Even you guys that are coming new to the market, it's part of the game. We've never seen something similar. And, in terms of boring price action, again, very, very boring. And especially from an altcoin perspective, yes, there's so many more altcoins now compared to, what we saw back in the day, but still, it's very, very interesting. Again, I can sit here talk for an hour, 2 hours, but let me know in the comments what you guys personally think. Do you guys agree with my overall take? Do you guys think Bitcoin is gonna, pull below, the $100,000 price point? And again, this upward trajectory still is valid, even if the price of Bitcoin were to drop down to that level that I talked to you guys about. Let's say these types of retracements were to play out, Bitcoin is still in this upward trend, unless, of course, Bitcoin drops below the 78.6, then this upward trend gets invalidated. And I just don't see that happening because of all the capital that is flowing into BTC, how the demand is outweighing the supply. But again, a long update. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you so much for all the support. Make sure you guys go crazy on this update, and we'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.